only place for everything Vikings. 612 Vikings.
Welcome back to 612 Vikings. I'm your host, Dustin, and I'm here with another special guest this week. We are here with JJVIKINgs. Why don't you go and introduce yourself, man?
What's up, everyone? JJVIKINGS here, big Minnesota Vikings fan. I dream to become an NFL analyst for the Minnesota Vikings and to continue to spread my craft and continue to kind of spread the fan base because, Vikings fans are a wonderful fan base, friendly people, wonderful people, and I want to continue to be a huge part of that. I want to continue to show lots of gratitude to the fans and the content creators and everyone that helped me get to kind of where I am now, because I'm a lot better of a creator as opposed to how I was a year ago. So just want to keep grinding, want to keep doing my thing, want to keep getting better at what I do. And I'm excited for what's coming next for me. I don't know what it is, but I know it's going to be great.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you just keep on building. Every day you get better and better, and just keep up the great work, man. You getting that online presence. Everybody loves you. You're up and coming. So yeah, you just keep building what you have, man. So all right. So today we're gonna talk about a little bit about JJ here. Get to know him for some of you that don't know him, or oh my gosh, words are hard today. Get to know a little bit more about JJ. And then just kind of go through free agency processes, draft thoughts, stuff like that. So let's get on with the show here. So JJ, you were on Twitter or X now for a little bit now. When did you start kind of using Twitter, the social media and stuff like that?
It was actually last August. So, Purple Pocket Podcast on YouTube, who's now called Vocal Vike, also on Twitter, if you guys want to go follow him. But he recommended to my mom and I, since I wanted to find a way to get more traction and more information about, because I was on YouTube, right? And YouTube was like my only app. And I didn't know how to expand my platform, like to other platforms at that time. And I was like really confused, like how are all these people getting so many automatic news alerts? I'm checking YouTube the entire time, and then I realized, oh, it's Twitter, it's like all these other platforms that are less about just the videos, but more about like tweets about things that like just happened and sources and things like that. Those are the kinds of things that you can't really do on YouTube. YouTube is mostly all about videos, and Twitter is where you can kind of tweet a lot more and write. It's a writing kind of platform, less about videos.
Yeah, you kind of get pretty instant news too. I that's how I use Twitter as well. You just get that news right away. You don't have to wait for, like in your case, YouTube videos popping up of the news, 15 minutes later, if not longer. And yeah, Twitter's just that one-stop shop for, breaking news basically. You have your insiders, just a lot of Vikings fans as well to follow on there. And yeah, it's pretty nice. Facebook, you're probably a little too young to be on Facebook. It's a little older.
Oh, my mom manages my Facebook, but I use my Facebook and my TikTok, but I use my I mainly use my YouTube, my Twitter the most, also Instagram, but Facebook and TikTok, I leave those kinds of apps to my mom just to, because whatever videos I record, I just send them to her and she'll post them to those apps. I don't even have access to them, and I don't really want to, honestly. I leave that to her. But I feel like the apps that I'm using now are, more important for me at this time.
Sure. Yeah, like I don't know if you know, but I'm on TikTok. I'm one of the, I guess, bigger Vikings content creators on there. I have 17.6 thousand. And what's really weird, kind of off topic here, is I'll go to like Mall of America or some games too, and people will just run into me and be like, "Hey, are you that Vikings fan?" and blah blah blah. And it's probably one of the coolest feelings ever because you're not like in that famous tier, but people still know you. It's super cool. And I'm sure that if you ever get to a game in Minnesota, this upcoming year, which we'll talk about in a little bit, I'm sure everybody will want to meet up with you and get pictures and stuff like that. So I guess speaking of upcoming games, are you planning on going to any games this year in Minnesota?
Well, unfortunately, I live in Massachusetts, not, and I want to move back to my true home, Minnesota, so much. I feel like I'm missing out on a lot, not being able to go to games. But luckily, I went to the Vikings Bucks game and got the biggest VIP treatment ever. And I have to give lots of thanks to the people at the VWO Vikings World Order, and also the content creators on YouTube. Vocal Vike, Purple and Scold Media, so many more, and just lots of people. And also wanted to give a shout out to the Vikings themselves for noticing my social media, and also for one of their workers actually gave me VIP passes to be on the field. So after the game, I was on the field and caught a touchdown in the end zone. The only thing
Wow.
yeah, yeah. The only thing I regret though is not wearing my JJ Viking shirt to the game. I wore a Justin Jefferson jersey, and obviously I love Justin Jefferson jerseys, but I feel like I have to um, kind of expose who I am a bit more and wear more of my stuff than other people's stuff. So next time I go to a game, I'll definitely wear my JJ Viking stuff through and through the entire time.
Hey, there you go. There you go. You almost have to get like a personalized or custom jersey of the Vikings. Put JJ Vikings on the nameplate, and then whatever your favorite number is, you can put that on there. That'd be pretty sick. Wear that to some games.
I don't really have a favorite number.
No?
Could it be 0? I mean, just because
Hey, you could add 0.
that could work. That could work.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. I mean, Ivan Pace might be 0 this upcoming year, which will be really cool to see. Get that number from Marcus Davenport. But yeah, it'd be a pretty cool number to
Wait,
have.
who?
Yeah, who's that? Marcus Davenport.
I'm just
Who?
kidding. I'm just kidding. The guy definitely plays well when he's really healthy. So
Yeah,
disappointing year for him and for us fans watching him. But I hope he does better, and I do hope that if what people are saying are true about his commitment, I hope he commits himself to the game more. But I'm not going to take anything away from Davenport. I think he is a great player and a guy who doesn't. I feel like he doesn't actually mean any harm to the team, but people aren't exactly inaccurate when they say it was kind of a bit of easy money for him. But
right.
again, I'm not going to take anything away from him. He's still a player who he has busted himself out there to go play, but ankle injuries, they normally tend to wear off after a month or two, or maybe even less than that, depending on how serious, because one of my friends was walking with a sprained ankle. He seemed perfectly fine. And the fact that Davenport took longer to even think about coming back than Jordan Hicks, who had his leg cut open for an entire week because of the surgery and stuff, that's just kind of surprising, suspicious, and a little concerning.
Yeah, right. It really makes you think, what his level of commitment is to the team and whatnot. Because in the 4 games that he played, I thought he played pretty well. There's a very visible difference between him being on the field and off. Obviously playing to his full potential. Not hurt or anything. Because in the Philadelphia game, he played the one defensive series and then left. But other than that, I thought he's played pretty well. I wouldn't mind him coming back on a cheaper deal. But we'll see about that. Let me ask you this too. I asked my guest last week. Would you be okay or open to this idea of letting Hunter walk to Jaguars or whatever team, and then just re-signing Marcus Davenport? No, you're a big Daniil guy.
Oh, of course, he's one of my favorite Vikings players ever. He's one of the guys that was on the team when I first started watching and liking the Vikings. So Daniil Hunter, man, I've got a special place in here for Daniil Hunter. One of my favorite Vikings players ever. So, most of the veterans are, including Harrison Smith. Adam Thielen, unfortunately, is gone. Man, Kyle Rudolph, I can go on and on.
Oh yeah. I mean, Daniil's been one of my favorite players too. I really hope that we can re-sign, Kirk, Daniil, get Jefferson on a contract. Get those major 3 in there. We'll see what happens with Harrison Smith too. Hopefully, we can get a restructure from him. I hope he's a Vikings for life. We'll see. We'll see. I think everybody kind of wants Harrison Smith back. Everybody wants to kneel back at a certain price point too. So we'll see how that goes.
It is Harrison's choice though if he does want to retire.
Yeah.
Fans can't stop him from doing that. It is his choice. But if he is still interested in playing, he definitely can come back on a cheaper deal and play in a bit of a way that is a lot easier on his body, but he can still go out there and like make plays. Some people are saying that while he was in Ed Donatello's defensive scheme where he couldn't like blitz, he couldn't they'd say they wouldn't let Harry be Harry, but I feel like that was a lot easier on his body too, like a little easier on his body at least, because blitzing, you either you can hit the quarterback or you can get hit. Like let's say you're running, really fast at a quarterback and like a blocker like blindside hits you, like that can hurt. So I feel like Harrison can come back and play, but he's not going to be the same Harrison Smith that he was in say 2016 and before, not that kind of Harrison Smith. I'm going to miss, that Harrison Smith too, because I was actually there to watch those kinds of games and see him. And it's crazy how he's been in the league for 11 years now, 10 or 11, maybe even 12. But I would miss him though if he retired. I know that he eventually will, that's inevitable. But I feel like Harrison definitely can come back.
Oh yeah, I think so too. Maybe on like a snap count or something too. But we'll see how that would pan out. But I think Harrison has been a huge playmaker. Past couple of years on defense. A lot of people say he's kind of slowing down, which that comes with age. That kind of get him in the rotation. We have Cam Bynum. Josh Metellus is a great safety. He plays everywhere. He's not even really a safety. He plays edge. He plays linebacker, slot corner, outside corner, just everywhere on the defensive side of the ball. And Harrison Smith. He should. I think that we can both agree that we need Harry back on the Vikings in 2024.
Well, if not, Antoine Winfield.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I would love to have Antoine Winfield here. Have three great safeties on the team: Cam Bynum, Antoine Winfield, and then Josh Metellus. That'd be amazing. And they're all like chess pieces too. They all play like different positions, which is really cool. And I think Brian Flores would definitely take advantage of that.
Oh, and we could also sign Xavier Howard, maybe not for the biggest price. I mean, we could have a defense going, and then we draft that guy, Tavondre Sweat, in the draft. And since we need a physical defensive tackle, you add Christian Wilkins to that too. That'd be amazing.
Oh yeah, for sure. I guess that kind of transitions to the next topic here. In the draft, how do you want the Vikings to go about in the first round of the draft? Do you want them to take quarterback, go defensive? Just how do you see that all panning out this year?
Well, I think the Vikings do have so many holes in, almost the entire team. Unfortunately, it hurts to say, but what I do think the Vikings should do is try and get a quarterback. JJ McCarthy is getting a lot more love from Vikings fans now, and he's like that. He's like that kind of option that you are gonna get if you don't get a guy like Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams or even Drake May. But what I do think about JJ McCarthy is he definitely can throw. He's a good thrower. I saw one of his passes he threw under pressure. A ball that should have been way less accurate than it was, and it somehow got to his receiver. So that I have to give him, and I have to give him a credit for a lot more things. I don't watch much college football, but this draft has excited me.
Yeah, for sure. I haven't really watched too much film or highlights of any of the quarterbacks yet, but I guess I'm kind of on the Drake May train. I've heard a lot of great things about him, and JJ McCarthy's starting to slowly creep in as a top candidate as well. But in the draft, you could totally see the top three teams go quarterback, and the Vikings are left with probably going defensive at that point, or just trading back, kind of waiting for Bo Nix or something. I don't know how you feel about Bo Nix, but it's an option. There's been reports of the Vikings saying, we're not going to take a quarterback unless we absolutely love a guy. And, if the top three are gone by number 11 and we don't trade up or anything, I could see them totally taking, a defensive end or a tackle, or defensive tackle, I should say. But I guess there are, a couple different ways that the Vikings could approach this draft, if quarterback isn't, an option at that point. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. And yeah, how would you feel about taking like a corner? Would you be kind of sick of that at that point?
I feel like we have way too many corners floating out there in free agency to kind of aim at that position in the draft. I feel like corners and linebackers should be like our last positions in the draft if we can get a guy like maybe like another Ivan Pace Jr., for example, at like a cheap price. But, you have many of those guys out there in free agency. So I think you want to target free agency first before actually putting your entire mindset of that position into the draft. So I think that the Vikings, if they want some of those positions, I think that their biggest priority in the draft is quarterback, in my opinion, because we don't know what's going to happen with Kirk Cousins. Obviously, in my opinion, I want the Vikings to re-sign him and then draft the quarterbacks to sit behind him. The usual. But I feel like we should just, if we're going to go for a corner or a linebacker, those should be our free agency type of positions to go after. But if you're looking for a quarterback, you're not going to get many of those in free agency. But the only possibility of that is if Kirk leaves. Unfortunately, I don't want that to happen. If Kirk leaves, then we can get like what they call a bridge quarterback or a stopgap guy, like Baker Mayfield or Taylor Heineke. Taylor Heineke actually was a Minnesota Viking in like 2017, so that could work out, but he'd have more offensive weapons too, like Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison has proved that he can be a starter in big-time situations. TJ Hawkinson, who's having his best season before the injury, a top 5, maybe even top 3 tight end. And when you tack on all that to a quarterback like Taylor Heineke, who does have skill sets but needs the right development around him, as well as Baker Mayfield, I think that could really work out if Kirk leaves. But if Kirk stays, I think that when it comes to Kirk Cousins, I think that the biggest decision that he'd make if he wants to win with Minnesota is to take a lower price, like take a pay cut and try and go win with the Vikings. Because I feel like, he did say, right, that wealth isn't exactly in his biggest interest that much anymore. He's got plenty of that. But to me, it shouldn't matter what other guys are getting played because you're not it shouldn't matter to you what other guys are getting paid because you're not other guys, right? You're yourself, you're in a different situation, and you're on a team that you can see has the potential of winning and has the right weapons. So if I were Kirk, I'm taking that pay cut, taking that team discount, and trying to go win with my squad. That's what I do.
Yeah, for sure. What kind of contract do you see Kirk signing? Do you see like a 2-year, 3-year? Do you see like dollar amount? What do you kind of envision with that?
I'd say 2 years. I can't quite. I don't know how much money in terms of a team discount. I'm still trying to learn the financials, like the financial side of the NFL.
Like a 35 million a year.
I mean,
I think market value is like close to 40. So like a hometown discount would probably be like 30, 35-ish.
Yeah, I think that would work, but it's got to work for Kirk too. But
yeah,
if I'm Kirk, like I said, I'm not going to think from the perspective of other quarterbacks. And yes, other quarterbacks that are getting paid more money than Kirk might be better than Kirk, but still, they may not have a higher chance of winning on their team than Kirk has on his. So I think that if Kirk does want to win, I'd see him taking the discount and just trying to lead his team to a victory.
For sure. I think this will be a good year if we can get all the pieces together. If we draft right, if we get a couple free agency signings, get some right guys, impact players. I think the Vikings can go a long way. I don't know about winning the division. I don't know if I'm that optimistic. We'll have a solid chance for sure, but we'll see how that goes. I could see second place. I could see first place. Regardless, I think we still make the playoffs. Do you think that we still make the playoffs this year?
It's hard to say considering where we are right now. I think we need to get a little bit closer to the season and see who we have in, like, for example, in the draft before I can make my kind of point on where we're going to be. Because it was after the draft that I saw many Vikings fans on social media making predictions. And I actually saw one of them said we'd beat the Niners. And I was like, I don't think so. I don't think we have a big enough team to do so. And the only other good player I could think of was Jordan Addison, and coincidentally, it was Jordan Addison that helped us beat the Niners. So that was also a pretty cool thing there too.
Yeah, I was at that game, and it was pretty fun to be there and, actually get a win against the Niners. I think that's the only win I've seen all season in person. So it was pretty fun. It was pretty fun, especially on Monday night, Kirk Cousins getting the top 10 chain, doing all that without Justin Jefferson as well.
He deserves a top 5 chain for that victory, actually.
Exactly. You're speaking my language, JJ. I love it. I'm glad that we're both big Kirk Cousins guys too. That's good.
I am a Kirk fan, but I also do have to look at, like, first of all, I do have my critiques, but I also have to look at I have to look at the facts. Look at the facts.
Yeah.
I can't be a total Kirk stan, but I also can't be a total Kirk hater. I'm just gonna look at the facts, state the facts, and analyze the facts. Facts only.
That's exactly how I am too. If he has a bad game, he has a bad game. There's no justifying it. But other than that, I think he's definitely hovering around that top 10 quarterback mark, in the NFL. But let's transition over. We talked about the draft and all that. Let's go to free agency. What would be one free agent signing, or you can do a top 3 free agent signings that you want the Vikings to make this year, not including any current players, so not re-signing Kirk, re-signing Danielle, just other team free agents?
Devin White, linebacker, not formerly, but linebacker of the Bucs, has really surprised me. Definitely Antoine Winfield. L'Jarius Sneed's going to be a free agent. I think Chris Jones might be. I'm not sure though. But Christian Wilkins definitely will be. So there's many guys out there, and if you're looking for a bridge quarterback, then I guess Baker Mayfield or Taylor Heineke. But those are the guys that I do have interest in, and we'd have a nice linebacker in Devin White, like a 1 year, 2 year type of linebacker, and then we'd have Christian Wilkins still plays defensive tackle at a high level, and you also have L'Jarius Sneed, who definitely does play corner at a high level still. And if you add all that to the team, we could definitely be going somewhere.
Yeah, depending on what the Chiefs do, I feel like they can only re-sign one or the other. Maybe they can make some magic happen, re-sign Sneed and Jones, but I think the Vikings definitely need one of those interior guys, whether that's Wilkins or Jones. I think they're just missing that interior piece that just dominates interior with pass rush. I think we have just a lot of run stuffing defensive tackles. I wouldn't say Harrison Phillips is a superior pass rusher by any means, but like when was the last time we had a superior pass rusher in the inside? Linval Joseph, he was kind of a run stuffer. Other than that, none really come to mind right now.
However, I don't really see the Chiefs re-signing both L'Jarius Sneed and Chris Jones because they don't have a Rob Brzezinski.
That is true. Rob makes some magic happen every single year. I remember in 2018, we signed Kirk to that massive contract, and everybody on Twitter was like, well, that we can't sign anybody else. We can't re-sign anybody else. And then here we signed Sheldon Richardson. We signed Aldrick Robinson. We signed all these other pieces that I think if the offense was a little better, that was Kirk's first year, I feel like we could have made some noise in the playoffs. But other than that, you were still riding that 2017 defense a little bit. And the offense, you still had Diggs, Thielen, Kyle Rudolph. Offensive line was a little shaky at that point. Other than that, I think the Vikings could have definitely made some noise in the playoffs. But, this year with Kirk possibly taking a pay cut, there's no reason why the Vikings can't make some noise in free agency. And, with the cap hit going up as well, I think it went up like, 30 million or so. So you have a lot of space to, work with, and a lot of that can go to Justin Jefferson getting a extension, whether that's 4 or 5 years, a lot of guaranteed money in that as well. A lot of reports are saying. So we'll see how all that goes. Other than that, I have nothing else for you, JJ, for today. If you have anything else you want to bring up, go ahead.
Well, what you said earlier about people knowing you, I got that experience the second I was in Minnesota. That's my true home. Always wanting to go back. I hope I can go back a lot more and eventually move back. But what I did like the most was like the second I checked into my hotel, there's this one lady that was there. I think she was one of the people that helped me get to whether it was Minnesota or the VWO party in Minnesota. But she was like the second she saw me, like, are you JJ Vikings? Just like, so that I kind of got to have that kind of treatment too. And also being in Tommy Kramer's limo on the way there too.
Really?
Yeah.
That is super cool. I got to meet Tommy Kramer in Denver for the Broncos and Vikings game this past year. He's a pretty cool guy.
So you went to the Broncos stadium?
I did. That's one stadium I've always wanted to go to, and I'm so glad I did.
What's it like there? Is it actually elevated? Like, is it actually like high up?
So I really couldn't tell the difference. A lot of people say, oh, yeah, since it's higher elevation, you can't really breathe. But I'm sure if you were running around and all that, maybe you would tell the difference. But no, it was super beautiful. Landscape, the city itself in Denver. Yeah, it's just beautiful. If the Vikings or when the Vikings play in Denver again, if you ever get the chance, you definitely should go out there.
Oh, I really want to. I want to go to every Vikings game, but what I do have the most interest in, though, is when you first got to the stadium, they say it's elevated, right? So when you get into the stadium, is it already like, are you entering it like, is there like an elevator or something to get up to the stadium? Because since it is elevated off the ground?
No, it's just kind of like normal, like just steps up to the stadium, and then, you have the concourse and then the field right in there. So it's just steps going up there.
Man, how do people build these things? I always wonder when I look at NFL stadiums, like, how do humans build this stuff?
It's crazy, isn't it? Like all these new stadiums too.
The 3 best stadiums are number 1, US Bank Stadium. Proud to say that. Been there too. And number 2, SoFi Stadium, which I can understand that. Number 3, Lambeau Field. And with Lambeau Field, I like the stadium, just not the team and the fans that are there.
Yeah. So I don't know if you knew this, but I was born and raised in Wisconsin. I live in Minnesota now, but I've been to quite a few Viking and Packer games at Lambeau, and it really is second to none for experience. Just the history. I know that's very cliche to say, but it is true that just being there is, because it's, I think, the oldest or second oldest stadium in the NFL, and just to envision, Brett Favre playing there, Bart Starr, just all these great Packers that have played there and other players as well. It's just super cool. I'm not a real big fan of the bleacher seats, but other than that, it's super cool atmosphere.
I can understand that for sure. Packers fans, they know how to make it loud.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And I've been fortunate enough to sit by, some decent Packer fans, nobody to really heckle me or anything, but no, I've had pleasant experiences, every time I've been there, whether that's wins or losses for the Vikings. So,
I can understand why, Packers fans some are pretty crazy, but which is why I can understand when Jordan Addison did that Lambeau leap, he did it specifically into the crowd of Vikings fans. He didn't even want there to be one Packer fan there because,
very smart.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember too in 2020 when Dalvin Cook had that great.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and then he jumps into the stands and nobody's there because nobody's gonna push him down.
Yeah.
that was a great win as well. I think we were under 500 at that point.
We were 1-5 after that win.
Yeah. So that was definitely a statement game for the Vikings. I don't think we didn't make the playoffs, but great win for the Vikings at that point.
Yeah, we could have ended it. So we actually were 1-5, and then the next game we played the Lions. We won, and then we ended up 2-5. Then we played the Bears, and then we went 3-5. No, sorry, 4-5. Wait, hold on, I got that mixed up. So we played the Lions, and then the Bears. So we went 3-5, and then we went 4-5 in that game. I'm missing a game.
I know it's hard to remember the schedule from what was it now 3 years ago, but
yeah.
Other than that, that's all I have for you today. It was great chatting with you, JJ. I'll definitely have to have you on here again. Make sure you guys go follow JJ Vikings on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. I still call it Twitter, but other than that, there we go. I don't think a lot of people call it X anymore, but go follow JJ on Twitter. Definitely a positive person. We all try to be positive in a very negative world. Lots of Vikings takes, ideas, thoughts, stuff like that. Go make sure or go follow him, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Thank you, JJ, and Skull Vikes. There we go. I love the hat.
Skull.